Good morning and welcome back to my channel. We just got back yesterday from the Triangle Pen Show, and I just thought I would take a few moments to show you some of the things I picked up at the show. The Triangle Pen Show took place at the Doubletree Hilton Hotel on Page Road, which is in the Raleigh-Durham, Chapel Hill, North Carolina area. And the show took place just this past weekend, June 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. And this is what their little program looked like, with some general information and directions to the hotel. And they had complimentary issues of Pen World magazines that you could pick up. And I always look for those at any pen show I go to. There's a lot of ads in the magazine, but there are some useful articles on pen companies, pen brands, small pen makers, reports on previous shows that have taken place. There is an article in this issue that I'm looking forward to reading, and it's about how pen making has helped some disabled VA veterans. The article is entitled "The Power of the Pen," so I'm looking forward to reading that. And then I went by the Right Stuf table, and here is their information. And they had a lot of really cute stationery items. And as some of you may know, I love books. And they had a selection of these beautiful transparent cat bookmarks. And the interesting thing about these bookmarks is when you hold it up close, it's transparent, but when you put it down, it takes on more color tones. Which I thought was an interesting design technique. And I also got these nice stickers. This is a Right Stuf sticker. And these cute little stickers that look like stamps, vintage stamps. I just love this sort of thing. Especially this one. It looks like a vintage postcard or vintage stamp from Egypt. And I'm going to use these in some of my journaling. And they had stationery items such as letter writing kits with stationery and envelopes, and they had a lot of pens, P-I-N-S, not P-E-N-S. I'm talking about the kind of pens that you could wear on your shirt or on a pen show lanyard. Some really cute things featuring cats, and they even had some pens. So that was really cute. And that was the Right Stuf table. And then I usually pick up some inks when I'm at a pen show. And I had been meaning to get some of this blue 72 from the Franklin Christoph table. The very first time I went to a pen show where I sat down and actually tried out the demonstrator pens and nibs, the testers that Franklin Christoph always has on their tables, I was really impressed with this ink. But I somehow managed to leave that show without buying any of the ink. And I got home and I thought, darn it, I wanted some of that ink. And so this time I got the Blue 72. And I talked to Scott in my pen show video about what makes their inks so special. And one of the things he told me was that this is their wettest ink, and so that's why it's the one that they use in all their testers. And I have a swatch that I made of this. It's a beautiful ink. It's a very vibrant blue. And it's very smooth writing, or helps to make your nib smooth writing. And then the next ink that I got was a shade that is new to me. It may have been out for a while, but it was a color that I had never noticed before, and that is the Andurilium Banded King Shoemaker Butterfly Blue. That is a mouthful. And I bought this bottle of ink at the Doral Pens table. I think the Andurilium jars are so cute. They look like little jam jars. And I think that is how they started out. When they were first getting started making ink, I think they did use jam jars. So I have a swatch card here. And let's open this jar up and make a swatch and see what this ink looks like. This is just lovely, lovely ink. A lovely turquoise teal color. Isn't that pretty? I have lots of blues and turquoise inks, but this one is just, it's different. It almost makes me think of a kingfisher color, a kingfisher bird rather than a butterfly. I don't have this ink currently in a fountain pen, so I'm going to use a dip pen to write the name of the ink. Oh, this is so pretty. and it's not too wet for my dip pen. I love a wet ink, but some inks are so wet that it's difficult to write with them with a dip pen, because you get feathering and spreading of the ink on the page. But this ink is not doing that, which tells me it's a very good ink. Isn't that pretty? I think the color is coming across as a little bit more of a royal blue on my camera, but it is very much a kingfisher blue. If you've ever seen a kingfisher bird, in other words, it looks very much like my swatch to my eyes looks like what you're seeing here around the outer edges. Beautiful. I'm looking forward to getting that inked up in one of my pens. So then the final thing that I have to show you today is my pen. You can't really go to a pen show without buying a pen, can you? Unless, of course, you are more of a journaling and paper focused person. But I bought one pen from a company called Little Pen Designs, owned by Joe Little, and he is based in Raleigh, North Carolina. And this is his business card. And he included a panda swatch card. I need to get some more of these swatch cards. I'm running out of them. And this is the pen. And there's an interesting story to this pen. Well, first, let's just take a moment to look at it. I was drawn to the pen because of the beautiful diamond cast silver in the barrel of the pen, with the alternating red and black streaks. It looks kind of like flames, doesn't it? Let me get it closer to the light so you can get a better look at how beautiful that resin is. This is a Mackenzie Penworks resin. Now, the interesting story behind the pen is that Joe had turned the pen barrel, and he was turning the cap out of the same resin. And I forget whether he said while he was turning the cap, or maybe it was the threads, he said the cap cracked wide open. And this resin is extremely limited. It was a one-time pour only. There is no more of this resin. So Joe was figuratively scratching his head trying to figure out how he was going to salvage this pen project. And he said to himself, what have I got that will match or complement this diamond cast resin? And he had this iridescent sparkly resin that he created. And so he thought, well, I'll make the cap out of this iridescent sparkly resin. And that was a good call because it perfectly matches the silver and the diamond cast. It's in the resin of the body of the pen. I actually think I like the pen with this sparkly cap better than I would have if the pen had been made completely of one resin. So then I got to choose a nib for the pen, and Joe had some steel nibs and he had some gold tone nibs at his table. Well, he had a tester pen that was lying out for customers to try out, and it had this ruthenium nib on it, and I had already used that pen testing it out and knew that the nib wrote extremely well. It's a 1.1 stub, and so I asked Joe if I could have that ruthenium nib to go on this new pen, because it was the only nib like that he had at his table. And he very kindly took his tester pen apart and gave me, or it was part of the package. He didn't exactly give it to me. You know, it was part of the what I paid for the pen. But he very kindly removed the ruthenium nib from his tester pen and allowed me to have it in my new pen, which was very nice of him since that was the only nib like that he had at his table. I think it perfectly complements that resin. So, let me get out a notepad and I will do a quick writing sample. I've inked this pen with my new Franklin Christoph Blue 72 ink. This nib is so smooth. Especially for a 1.1 stub. Some stub nibs, of course stub nibs write a different width line, depending on whether you're making downward strokes or horizontal strokes. Of course, that is a standard feature of a stub nib, but I have had stubs that would skip in certain directions or not write well or write smoothly, depending on the direction of the pen. And in the past, of course, I have had problems with the angle at which I held my pen. I tend to rotate my pens inwards or to the left, but this pen so far this nib so far has written perfectly without any problems. And I do love this Franklin Christoph Blue 72 ink. Oh, there was a little bit of a skip. That may have been my problem. Not paying attention to my writing, talking instead of writing. The Triangle Pen Show is one of my favorite shows to go to. It is a smaller show compared to Orlando or Atlanta or especially DC, but I enjoy the size of the show. It gives you an opportunity to get to meet people and talk to people and get a lot of knowledge and education about the pens and the pen brands that you might not ordinarily get to have that experience at a larger show. So I'm loving my new pen and my new inks. Look at this. Look how well this stub nib reverse writes. The ink may play some part in that, as Scott said that the Blue 72 was their wettest ink. But I love this. I just love it. So I hope you enjoyed this look at my items that I got at the Triangle Pen Show in Raleigh, North Carolina this past weekend. Thank you for watching.